Hey friends, it's Christine from Hallows Create. How's everybody doing today? Today is Saturday, August 14th. It's episode number 29. So this is my Flosstube channel. This is my YouTube channel about cross stitch primarily. Occasionally I will have some other crafty kinds of things thrown in there. If you're new to my channel and you've wandered in, maybe you'll want to stay a couple of minutes and maybe find something that'll inspire you. If you're returning watcher, viewer, thank you so much for returning. Hopefully you'll subscribe and hit the bell to show you when I have a new episode coming up. I appreciate it oh so much. I actually hit 3,000 subscribers. Actually, before I got started, I looked and I had gone to 3,158. And I just want to say thank you so much. It's kind of crazy to me that 3,000 people would actually subscribe to my channel, but I'm so grateful that all of you have. The new analytics that they give us now actually show that only about half of my viewers are subscribers. So if you want to subscribe so that you know when my next episode comes up, please do. As you know, I will have something special since I did hit 3,000, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's see, today's talk, I've got a couple of finishes, some framed pieces, old and new, some whips, some stash enhancement or purchases, a little bit of stitchy kindness, some giveaways, a shout out or two, and my new section, just saying. So we all know that there are things that we just have to have, and we call that stitching accessories you'll instantly need. So stay tuned. Let's get to it. Let's see. I did want to kind of say, I do have those analytics, right? And we can go in and look to see when we have new comments so that we can try to, at least heart, I try to always read them all and heart at least so you know that I've read your comment. Occasionally there will be a question or something else, and I try to respond there. Google's had some issues this past couple of weeks, and I kind of thought it was strange when I was seeing comments that were 3 or 4 months old and I wasn't seeing any replies, and there were some that I was like, I know I replied. Then I heard Carol, Saltbox Stitcher, say the same thing, and I messaged her, and it turns out, I guess, Google was having some issues, but all seems to be well now. But I do try to comment. If there's a question, I try to answer it, there. If I did not respond to you or answer a question that you might have had, you can email me, which my email I usually try to put into the description box below. But also, comment again, and I apologize if I missed anybody. I did want to also, because I have so many new subscribers, do a little bit of a reintroduction. My name is Christine. I live in Kansas City. I'm originally from Kansas City. My husband and I have moved, though, and lived in 6 or 7 different states, mostly due to his job. Currently, we are actually living in kind of 2 different locations. I brought the house back up to Kansas City at the end of March, and he is working in Rhode Island, Boston area. So between Providence and Boston. So we're doing the long distance commute for a little while. We've been married 35 and a half years. We have 3 grown children. Have my first grandbaby. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see Alaska yet. She, along with my daughter and my son-in-law, Brittany and Paolo, live in Italy. And she was born November 17th of 2020. I can't even remember what year what things are placed. I'm really struggling with that lost year. So because of all of the shutdowns and COVID, things like that, we've yet to be able to see her. But I've got fingers and toes crossed. It's a strong possibility that we will be able to get to see her next month. So I'm excited about that. Let's see, I have a couple of cats. My youngest son, or my youngest child, my son, Adam, moved back in with me at the beginning of May. And he brought a cat with him, so that's kind of interesting because the cats do not get along. So we play rotate the cat throughout the day. Kind of fun. That's kind of fun. He has actually begun to help me with the shop, and that has been just a godsend because the shop is growing and we've really been busy. So he helps me about 3 to 4 hours every day. I'm really glad about that, and it is kind of nice to have him in the house with me. I'm a short person. My son is 6'5". I did really miss when he went to college being able to say, "Can you reach this for me?" So he's back to being my reacher for me, which has been kind of nice. And like my husband says, it makes him feel better that I'm not in the house by myself. So I'm a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, as you can kind of see. We have our first preseason game tonight out in San Francisco. I love to cross stitch. I do some quilting, not as much as I used to. Some wool applique, some rug hooking, crochet. And those are kind of about that's about about all that I do. So, which sounds like a lot, and it is kind of a lot, but primarily cross stitching. So there's a little bit about me. Nice to meet all you new people. So let's move on to what's been going on. The last 3 weeks, because it's been 3 weeks ago today since I filmed, and it's really been just mostly working. We've been, like I said, the shop has really been busy. I did have Stitch Club last weekend at Quilter Station, where a group of stitchers come in, and we have the room from like 10 to 2. We order lunch and just stitch and visit. And it's just such a great Saturday. That was last weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Haven't gotten to see my husband since our trip to Hawaii because of these pending travel plans. We also had a death in the family on his side that is coming up in a couple of weeks, the memorial service. We had to wait for the military service. So he was Air Force veteran, and you have to get in line to have that service. So that's not going to be, we were kind of waiting, and so we didn't book flights or plan trips until we knew when his uncle's service was going to be. So I haven't seen him in a little while, so he's going to be here in September as well when our daughter and the baby come. So that's going to be interesting. It'll be 2 months since I've seen him. But other than that, it's been pretty normal. Nothing other major going on. It's not too hot right now. Today's a beautiful day. About 84 degrees is our high today, which is really nice because earlier in the week we were like 98 with, that humidity level so high, making the temperatures feel like 105 to 110, brutally hot. But we had some really gnarly storms that came through Thursday. We woke up to really bad thunderstorms. We went to bed to another round of thunderstorms, and that seemed to break the humidity a little bit, so that was kind of nice. So let's get on to some stitching, shall we? I did want to show, I want to start out with some Stitchy Kindness. I had, if you followed me in the last few episodes, I had shown an estate purchase that I was very lucky to be contacted about to buy the stitching, or the bulk of the stitching that a lady in Iowa had and her sister was selling for her. And I had parsed out some of the charts and things like that, and one of the ladies that I sent a couple of whips to sent me this. Isn't this adorable? This is Heart in Hand, one of the Santas, yearly Santas, and she modified him and made him like kind of like a summer Santa, but we still have the, you know, the snowman here. But I just thought that was really cute, and she just kind of finished him off like this, just as, I guess, you know, a quick little thank you. Just really sweet, really sweet. I thought that was really adorable. So thank you so much. You know who you are watching. So that was my stitchy kindness, which was really nice. So I want to go into my finished and framed. So last episode, if you'll remember, I had finished my Blackbird Designs Come Into My Garden, but I finished it at like 1 o'clock in the morning that Saturday morning that I was going to film, to be able to race it down to the cross stitch shop that is located about 45 minutes from me, because they were having a framing sale and I wanted to get in on the framing sale. Well, they called yesterday, or no, they called Thursday evening and said, your framed pieces are ready. So I zoomed down this morning so that I could have these to be able to show everybody. And here is my Come Into My Garden for Blackbird Designs. I'll put that up a little bit closer so you can see that. So you can see that frame finish and that fillet that we had put in is kind of like a silvery gold, and I just thought it really made everything pop really nicely. So I'm extremely happy with this. I wanted to be able to share it with you today. And then it's going up on the wall. I have a spot already picked out. Put that down. And the other piece that I took with me to the shop to have framed was something I stitched last year. Becky, my friend Becky, Socks for Mom, she and I both have October birthdays, and we decided last year to pick a design, a chart, and have an October 1st start and try to make it our birthday stitch. And I actually finished mine in the month of October, and I believe she might have too. It was At First Cock Crow by Blackbird Designs again, and I took it down to be stitched, and I was, or framed, and I was really hoping you could see in this frame, you can kind of see the pebbling there, and actually you can kind of see there's a bit of like a coppery, looks like it's been kind of rubbed off, you know, on the edges, so that you can see that. And that coppery color matches the orangey rust colored, and I really wish you could see that a little better. I don't know, I can get it up there. But anyway, when you when you see it in person, that's what you can see. And I really, really am happy with this. This was done on 35 count weeks straw. No, I apologize. 35 count cocoa, weeks cocoa. And all the called for threads, with the exception, the only thing I kind of changed was these oranges. I used, I think I didn't have what was called for, so I subbed out a Victorian motto. And then in the chart, the moon has a look on his face. He's got the O, the circle, and I made it a smile. And then I did change the date. It's supposed to be October 31st, like 18 something, and I made it 2020 so that we knew the year that we stitched together. So I'm very happy with that. So those were my two new finishes and newly framed. Now, this week we're still doing some unpacking and arranging. We downsized into this house, so it's taking a little while to really get through everything. And then I wasn't anticipating my son moving in. Of course, he had a 1-bedroom apartment, and so we put a lot of his stuff, extra stuff, in storage. Hang on just one second. Go on, Sammy. Oh, sorry about that. That was my son's cat, Samson. He doesn't like to have the door closed. Anyway, so we're going through some of my son's boxes and trying to figure out things that he just wants to go ahead and put into storage, or things that he wants to keep here. And we open up this box, and there were a couple of things, and he was like, "You need to show these on your next Flosstube." He goes, I think all the ladies are gonna love this." And he's getting to know your names because he does all of the shipping labels from orders. And so I know I have several Flosstube watchers who also are customers. And anyway, he goes, "I know they're gonna love this." So I had stitched this for his room, I want to say maybe when he was like about 13 or 14. And I apologize for the glare. Of course, this is just like a Hobby Lobby type frame, or document frame, I think, something like that, to put that in. Anyway, so we're big Philadelphia Flyers hockey fans. And of course, we lived in the Philadelphia area from 1999 to 2013. So he was only 15 months old when we moved out there. So he grew up through 8th grade, loving all the Philadelphia sports. And then my husband is from the Philadelphia area. So anyway, I had stitched this Philadelphia Flyers, and I'd stitched it on just 14 count Aida, 2 strands. And this one I stitched for him. We did his room in a sports theme, and I believe that's when we moved into our last house in Pennsylvania, which was in like 2004. So he was 6, and I stitched this to be as part of the decor in his room, Adam's Sports Escape. And again, this is just done on 14 count white Aida. It's a Stony Creek pattern out of one of the sports books. And I still really love it. And the colors are super bright and vivid, and I didn't do the best framing job, and I've learned a whole lot more since then. It's just, I think, on sticky board and pushed into a kind of inexpensive plastic type frame. But I really like it. So, and he was funny because he reminded me yesterday, "Don't forget to show my pieces. Don't forget to show my pieces." So he's like, "I think everybody will really like that." So anyway, so there's some new framing and some old framing. Now for finishes, I actually have 2, or maybe kind of like 1.5. As I've shown the last couple of videos, I had a vacation start, which was "And Be Kind to One Another" from Needlework Press. This is the companion piece to "In All Things Be Exceedingly Diligent." And so this is a skinny vertical, whereas the other one is a skinny horizontal. Oh, here we go. Let me show you that. There's the skinny horizontal. So I gotta finish. I may have to kind of back up just a tad, because it's 380 stitches long. So I'll show it this way in its entirety. And then I will come forward so that you can see. There we go. I was very excited to get a finish on this. I just love it. So it will be next up to head for framing. And that was stitched on 40 count Eureka by Fox and Rabbit. and I used all of the called for flosses. I've actually already broken apart my floss ring and reintegrated all those flosses back into my stash. The next finish that I have is kind of really a 2020 finish, but if you want to be really technical, a 2021 finish. I was going back through my whips to kind of get my plan together for the rest of this month, September and October. And I pulled out a project bag that I was like, why does it still say Feast of Friendship? Because I was thinking, I think I finished Feast of Friendship. Well, I opened it up, and here's Feast of Friendship, Blackbird Designs, Feast of Friendship. And I had started this in 2019 as part of Mania. And when I pulled it out, I had not put the initials in, and I had here, and I had pulled out like 7 or 8 stitches here because I guess I was off by one, and then I had not finished off like a couple of the little pine cones. There's like 4 of them. So I sat Thursday night, put in my initials, did the 4 little pine cones, and it's a true finish. But I had already put in 2020 right here. I'm just going to leave it. I did the bulk of the stitching in 2020. There, you can see if you can. That house was a killer. It was, I love it. I absolutely love it. This is done 2 over 2 on a 32 count mystery linen. I do not remember and I didn't do my notes, and it was before I created my project bags or project cards, so I didn't write anything down. I'm not sure why I didn't write anything down, but I didn't. So, and maybe I didn't even know what that linen, where it was from, but more than likely it was cut off of a bigger piece, but it was still big enough for me to use for that particular project. So anyway, so there's 2 more to head for framing. And then let's move over to my whips. So in looking at my plan for the rest of August, I have really got to speed up here and work on my heritage sampler, Plum St Samplers. This is the first one that she did in these historical Rhode Island style samplers. And I had started this on Memorial Day, and with my plan to finish by Labor Day, because that's what I had done last year when I stitched a new constellation, which was the Betsy Ross themed sampler. I'd started it on Memorial Day and finished it by Labor Day. And here's where I am on Heritage Sampler. So you can see I still have quite a lot to do. So from now till Labor Day, this is going to be pretty much everything that I'm working on. Because this is all over one, it's finished. As I work a little bit with Blackbird, which is the color of the lettering, like when I finished up some of the things up here that were done in Blackbird, then I take the balance of that thread and I come down and I put in some more over one letters, just to try to kind of break it up a little bit, because there's a lot of over one. And when I get to here where it says don't tread on me, it has the snake, that whole thing is all over one. So there's definitely going to be some work to do on this particular one. So I'm going to really put my mind to it and see if I can get this thing finished by Labor Day. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to show you my, they don't look real great. I've been really pulling from them, but here are the threads for that. I'm back down here again in my workroom, so I'm walking around standing. I hope that's okay. I did have some comments about my weeks wall behind me. I'm angled a little more today so you can actually see, let's see, that's the beginning of Gentle Arts. There we go, Gentle Arts here at the bottom, Classic Colorworks, and then that goes all the way across over the wall for the threads there. So, and then of course weeks behind me. But one thing about it, standing up, I won't be overly chatty. So last weekend I mentioned that I had Stitch Club, and it was also the second Blackbird weekend because there was a split in the weekend prior where you had the first on a Sunday. So they said, okay, both weekends. So I pulled out some Blackbird that I have, and I pulled out Halloween Eve. And this is what I took to Stitch Club. And I'll show you my progress. I've only been working on this one really just on the 13th, which for dark 13 stitching. And this is where I am. So I enjoyed doing that house, but I'm not 100% satisfied with the coverage here. This is Gentle Arts Espresso Bean. I'll show you here's the thread colors. So you can kind of see, really pretty autumnal palette. But and I'm doing this on 36 count corn silk by Weeks. It is not a Zweigart base. It's their original base. And I feel like that the coverage on the cat is just not quite as deep or saturated as I'd like for it to be. And as I get up further, there's a lot of espresso bean. All that lettering, all this is done, you know, the bit of the wing and the bird, it's all done in espresso bean. So I think what I'm gonna do is I ordered some espresso bean Gloriana silk, and I'm gonna see what that color looks like. But I also, because I'm now starting to add dinky dye silks to my shop, I had ordered in some of their browns, and I had gotten in mud flats. And I was like, you know, that potentially could work as well. Now, I think it is just a little more brown than black. You know, espresso bean has that really kind of black brown mix to it. So I'm waiting till the espresso bean Gloriana comes in, and I'll stitch with them both, some stitches on here, and see. I can keep going with, you know, the espresso bean and the Gentle Art, but we'll see how that goes. So that was my stitching for last weekend for the Blackbird. Let me set this over. And last, my one thread a day is my Log Dog Samplers Paradigm Found. Here's that one. And I am stitching this on 40 count Lakeside Vintage Pecan Butter. And I'm using Gentle Arts Current as my thread. So when I showed this to you last time, I believe I had just finished the hiney, the little bottom of the cherub. And so now the cherub is finished, with the exception of the hand is like this, and I believe it's a bird, like a tiny bird sitting on the hand. I had a page finish when I came straight across. So I printed off the page here and the page here. Well, that little hand is in the page that's up here. So I'm like, ah. So it's just gonna have to wait until I get over it that far. So, and then I think before I showed you, I had just the bottom part of this. So now I've come up around here and then I went this way for one morning, just decided to go over, and I stitched this little right here. So there you can really see the variegation in that thread. It's like a deep cherry to a kind of a lighter cherry kind of color. I guess currant, right? The fruit currant. But I really, really am enjoying this, and I'm glad that I'm doing this with the one thread a day. It takes something that's going to be a really big project that I had just the tiniest little corner start on last year, and I'm seeing progress with just one thread. I sit down in the morning, and it takes, now my threads, because I just snipped where the actual skein was already looped at the bottom. I didn't pull it off and make lengths different. So I think it's only about 14 inches. I counted one morning, and I get about 65 stitches out of that thread. So it's going to take a little while, but at least there's progress on it, right? So anyway, so that's what I work on there. And let's see where I'm to. So that, I think, takes care of my whips. Next time, I think what I'll do is I'll go through what I've pulled, and I'm kind of, planning with for, I am going to do a little bit of a sampler September, assuming hopefully that I get Heritage Sampler finished. I've pulled a couple. I need to get back to Sarah Brown and get caught up on her, and I've pulled one or two others that I'm kind of mulling around in my brain, and I'll go through what my plans are in a little more depth in a couple of weeks when I come back. So, new segment. Everybody seemed to love Just Saying, and I'm really happy that you really had some really cool comments and things, and I'm glad that people like this. I think it just kind of adds some fun and some interest. To me, it's very interesting, especially if you go to a retreat and you kind of see everybody lay out all of their accoutrements that they bring to the stitching table. Now, we all know we really just need what? A needle, fabric, thread, and chart, and that's it. But, there's a lot of other things that we really need, right? So today, I'm going to go through needle bling. So needle bling, needle nannies, needle minders, needle keeps, whatever you want to call it. There's all kinds of things, right? So I wanted to kind of go through, I have some older things, and unfortunately, I think there's still a box, because there's some crafty things that I have that are part of, nothing to do with my shop, but just part of what was in my craft room, and a lot of antique-y stuff, things that were my grandma's, my great-grandmother's. There's some things that I'm like, hey, where is that? I haven't seen that. And unfortunately, because I took what probably would have been my craft room and it has a very large walk-in closet that it was perfect for all my fabric for the shop, things like that. I've moved in here, and a lot of my personal craft things are still in boxes. So I've got a few things that I'll show you and talk about, and these are just some of the things that I have that are that I collected. Some needle books. Now this one came with a threader and a tape measure. It's an older one, and I think I picked that one up at an antique market. Now this one actually did belong to my grandma, and this is a Happy Home needle book. Came with 21 assorted gold eye needles and threader, and there's some needles. Oops, one just fell out. I'll have to get that. Some needles there. Still actually has the black paper. And turn it around, and it still has the needles there and the threader. I don't think she had ever used it. It was in the bottom drawer of her sewing machine cabinet. And add this needle back in here so I don't lose it. So that was one, that was an old needle book. And then she had some little original sharps. There's superior quality needles. And this one actually says it's a war pack. Sharps. And it's made in England. And she clearly used it as a little bit of a needle book because she had just slid in different size needles into it. And this, I too found this one in her sewing machine. And then this one is the Hallmark quality, made in England, nickel-plated, gold-eyed needles. And then this one, you see, folds open like this. It says the Hallmark of quality. And you just continue to open it up. And there's the needles. So this one was a really cool one too. And I've tried to be very careful to keep these preserved because obviously they were my grandmother's, but my grandfather's mother, my great-grandmother, lived with my grandparents. She sewed as well. And so I'm not sure on a few of these things if they were my grandmother's or my great-grandmother's. So I'm trying to be very careful that I, take care of all of them. So those are some things. Now it's interesting. I'm just going to show. Here's, peacemakers, right? Here's what they look like today. These needle books. They're all plastic and cardboard. They're just not quite as cool as when you see something like this and it's all, gold, and you open it up like a little book, and I don't know, it's just kind of different, but I love that old stuff. So then you've got things like this, needle tubes, right? And then we have the needle nannies. Oh, real quickly, I want to show you. So as I'm digging through, this is great. In one of the boxes of my grandma's stuff was a medicine jar, right? And it's got her name, so it was given to her to take 2 times a day. Well, she decided that she was going to fill it with needles and actually wrote on here, needles. So it was in one of the drawers of her sewing cabinet, and it is chock full of needles. I just thought that was a hoot. She thought, well, she probably thought, this is empty. This is perfect. This would be great for needles. So I thought that was really funny. So I just thought I'd share that. Mother of invention, right? You just use whatever's handy. Let's see if the date's on here. 1982. 2/14/82. So there you go. Now, there are all kinds of needle nannies, needle minders, needle bling, you name it, right? I don't particularly use a needle nanny. I don't really put them on my project. I do use one that sits on the table, and I will put my needle over onto it. I have 2 stitching places, so I have one that sits on my table or by my rocking chair, and then when I'm in the living room, I actually use like a pincushion. And this is one that I had purchased. It's like the shaker style base and the pincushion top. And so I actually just use that to stick my needles in. I have cats, so I'm always a little concerned that I'll forget to, and leave a needle laying across the top. Like here's one. I'm gonna actually show these like behind here so it's easier to see. And so it has a flat surface. So while the needle will stay on, let me grab one. It will stay on, right? You can see that needle's hanging on there. I'm just always so afraid because they're shiny that the cats are gonna like swipe it off of there and end up, swallowing it or doing something with it. But so I tend to use them, put them fairly deep into a pincushion. But again, here's just an assortment. And what these are all needle minders that I have been gifted. I don't believe I have purchased any of these, actually. They either came with a retreat, came as part of an order, or something. This is a Tudor Rose Guild for the Tudor Rose Guild I belong to. It's in Dallas. And I have this old box. It's Brooks soft finish spool cotton. Just like an old box. And it's metallic. And I kind of just started sticking them on. And next thing you know, it has kind of become my needle nanny, you know, holder. But these are all ones that, you know, that I have. I love that. That's fabric. I think that's really cool. So there's all different kinds that you can have. Those happen to be mine. Here's one that came with the Coming to America that Brenda Gervais did for the commemoration of the 400th year of the Mayflower landing. So that one came with my kit. Here's one. This is one of the ones that I was talking about that I keep next to my rocking chair. I really love this. It reminds me of the, you know, the Blackbird from Blackbird Designs. And I actually have this one in the shop. This is a Kelmscott. So this is like a molded clay polymer, but it's like in relief, right? So it's not flat, it's raised. I really love that. So there's all different kinds. You know, needle minders, people can really show their creativity. There's one that's, you know, Day of the Dead. And I just pulled some of these out of the shop. This one is Joseph's Workshop. Now these are made out of alder wood. You can see that's the bee skep with a couple bees. This thing is super, super light. You can put this on your fabric and it won't pull it down. There's another one out of the alder wood. There's the sheep. Now this one is also carved out of wood. This is Whimsical Designs, and that's the witch's hat, and then it has a tiny little bat that's actually drilled into it. Let's see, Kirkland Design Studio. They have all the button style. That one just happens to say, I just want to stitch and wash Flosstube. And I have several of those. There's all different kinds. You can find one just about that says anything or shows anything. Here's, oh, and then the other thing is to take what's popular is to take people's, you know, stitchers' designs, right? And impose the design onto the button style. And then when you're stitching that chart, you can match it to your, you know, to your design. And then when people talk about bling, this is like a little jeweled needle nanny, and it says, enjoy a little bling for your stitching. Isn't that cute? And then there's, you can see the magnet on the back. And that was a gift. So there's just all different kinds of needle nannies and things like that that you can, you know, that you can use, needle minders, whatever you want to call them. So what I'm going to do today, I've got a couple of things that I'm going to give away, but one of them is this needle minder, and it's an angel. Let's see if you can see that. I really like that. And that's that molded clay, you know, type polymer that is really, really intricately designed. So I'm going to give this one away. So, and I'll remind you again at the end, if you're interested in this one, all you have to do is say needle minder, and I'll search for needle minder. Okay, so there's, like I said, there's all different kinds of things that you can, do to catch, your needle. Also, A lot of the time I just put it right into the fabric. I don't do that if I'm not going to be, like I'm putting a project away for a while. I don't put the needle in. One of the things that I did see in all of the whips that I got from the lady in Iowa back in at the end of April, beginning of May, she had put her needle in a lot of those whips, and in a couple of them they were rusted. So I don't recommend that you do that. It's better to, you know, pull them out, put them in a needle tube, put them, you know, into a pincushion, you know, needle book. And you know what, I was going to show you a needle book. I have another quilted needle book, and I forgot to bring it. I'll try to remember maybe next time to show that to you. You know, that's another super popular thing that, you know, people will make. Stacy Nash has some great designs and charts for needle books that you can make. Anyway, so just thought I would show you those, and I'm just saying. All right, so let's move on, because I'm running a little long here. Let's move on to stash enhancement / purchases. So I had some purchases this time that were just really kind of varied. I bought a fat quarter set that is from Shabby Fabrics called Sunflower Field, and it's just a nice fat quarter set. Saw this pop up and it was on sale, and thought, you know what, I have to have that. And I was kind of thinking I could maybe make just a quick little, you know, either table runner or small lap quilt, something like that to decorate with. Probably won't get it done this year, but I'd like to get that done maybe in the winter time, so that next summer, because in August I like to decorate with sunflowers. So anyway, bought that. And this was my Color and Cotton August 2021. I'm in the primitive neutral colors thread club. And there's where our 3 for this month. Aren't they pretty? Perfect time, right, for these, as we all begin to pick up all of our fall and Halloween stitching. Beautiful autumnal colors. So I also happened to order 2 thread winders. I've been on the fence about what to do with my DMC collection. I've bobbinated for years and years and years. But I super like the ability, and I'll show you, like, and I'm sure a lot of you already do this. You know, when you get a new skein, right, you can clip the loop at the bottom, and then when you need a piece, you can just take your needle, pick one off and pull it, and it just comes right off. And it's so nice not to have to unwind or anything like that. Your threads are straight. So I've got several projects that have DMC, and I've been pulling, you know, my bobbins out for those and unwinding them, and using thread winders to, you know, you just wind your thread around. This is a 9-inch, so it gives me an 18-inch piece of thread. You wind it around, cut one end, and then pull it off, put it onto a tag, and mark it with your DMC color. So I did buy a couple of thread winders, and I got those from R&R Woodworks, and he's on Instagram. He also has a website. It's R&R, RN as in Nancy, R, Woodworks Kentucky, KY, on Instagram. And he makes great stands and all kinds of things, clappers. I'll actually, when we get to this, the section on like stands and chart holders and things, I have one of his stands. I'll show that to you then. Let's see. Now, some of you may know, and oh, I dropped it. Hang on just one moment. Oh, I dropped my tomato. So, Michelle from Under the Woolen Willow has an Etsy store, and she will post, and you have to be lickety-split items on Instagram when she's about to put them on her into the shop. And I got really lucky and grabbed one of her tomatoes. You see that? Love it, love it, love it. So cute. And this just pulls out. Isn't that sweet? Love it. So anyway, got that again from Under the Woolen Willow on Etsy. But your best bet is to follow her on Instagram. She puts the items that she's going to be loading into her shop on Friday evenings, and so she will post some preview pictures, and then you can watch for it and then go and then, you know, take the link right from her bio right over to her shop. So I did have a few patterns and charts. First thing I bought was Autumn Bounty. I just bought this on Amazon because I'm just feeling all the fall things right now. Can't wait to finish this heritage sampler because I'm diving right in for the next 2 months and doing nothing but fall. Love it. And I was really drawn to this because it's wool applique, it's quilting, you know, a couple different things, right? So I just marked a few things that really drew my attention. Look at that. Really love that. I think that's super cool. Then, let's see. I really love that too. So simple, but just so stunning. And it reminds me of a Carolyn Manning cross-stitch design, which she, you know, models a lot of hers after these kinds of quilts and things. So love that. And then look at these pen pals, pen cushions. Look at that. So cool. You've got the owl. There's the owl picture a little bit better. I think he's really cool. And then the pumpkin. And he's super neat too. And then I really like this Welcome Home pincushion. Isn't that sweet? All wool applique. And if you've never done any wool applique, I would highly recommend that you go to Carol's Saltbox Stitcher. She did a tutorial probably 3 or 4 episodes back on quilt applique, and just so super easy to follow. I really enjoyed watching that. So like I said, you might try that if you're not familiar with doing wool applique. It's really not that hard. Anyway, so great book, Autumn Bounty. Then I got, oh, I should have taken these out. Some Chessie and Me, All Hallows Eve. I love that it's done on that board. And this is not super big, 53 by 121. So it's not a monster sized project at all. And then this one is a little more samplery style, Breath of Autumn. Do you see that? Yeah. Love that. And this is one you can leave out for quite a while. Because, you know, you got the turkey, the cornucopia, but you look at Halloween looking kind of house. You can leave this one out, put it out in September and, you know, mid-September or so, and leave it out till end of November. So I got those two. And then from Lori Bricklin, Notforgotten Farm. She's got her shop on Etsy. I got, let's see. Well, here's my pattern for the Reverend. Needful Things. Right? And this is the Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom. And I believe if you go back, you can see Teresa, Kitten Stitcher, finished this one. And I believe that Becky, Socks for Mom, Olivia, Pumpkin Hollow Quilt, and I can't remember who else, are stitching that. I think that's their Wednesday stitch. But anyway, Lori came out with Prunella Squash Bottom. So I guess that's Gordon's wife. There's Pernilla. Love that house. And I'm a sucker for a pumpkin head. And then while I was on there, because I needed to have another pumpkin head, I thought I got Jack's jig. I think he's pretty cool. Unfortunately, these pictures are not just super great, but the pattern is really cool. And because, you know, as we discussed in my last video, I'm a complete sucker for project bags. Oh, look at that. This is from Nikki's Notables on Etsy. And again, Nikki will post on Instagram. And on Instagram, she is N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, Merkt, M-E-R-K-T, N-S-M-E-R-K-T on Instagram. And Nikki's Notables on Etsy. And she just does really lovely, lovely bags. So I got that one from Nikki. I've got quite a few Nikki's. And then Judy from Buckleberrie Quilts. So, there's her card. Buckleberrie Quilts. Also on Etsy. Look at this. The Strawberry Bird William Morse fabric. Ah, I saw this and I was like, oh, I have to have that because I absolutely love William Morse fabrics. We have a shop that's local to me, quilt shop that's local to me, called Stashworthy Fabrics, and she carries a whole line of the William Morse fabrics, and I saw this and I was like, oh, love that, love that. And then Judy sent the sweetest card with the bag, which I thought was just so nice, but you know, she's like, a small thank you for, you know, supporting my shop with purchases and Flosstube, because I'm thrilled to show, you know, she actually had purchased this thread ring from Sampling of Memories, LaDonna, and sent that to me. Isn't that so sweet? So really, that's another little stitchy kindness as well. So I just love that. I thought that was really nice. Thank you so much, Judy. Love your bags. Love your bags. So that brings us to the giveaway. This guy. So we had 161 comments in the last couple of weeks since my last talking about project bags. Some of you have never used project bags. I enjoyed reading what kind of bags you do use. Some people are addicted to project bags, kind of like me. You know, all over the spectrum, right? So I wanted to give this one away, and I did the random comment picker, and out of the 161 comments, the winner was Lori Santamara. I'll put the picture in here. Congratulations, Lori. So I'm going to comment on your comment. Send me an email with your mailing address. Potentially I have that because I think you've ordered from the shop, but again, send it to me and I will mail your project bag right out to you. And congratulations again, Lori Santamara. So what am I going to add to the needle minder? Well, I've got a couple of different things. First, in honor of crossing over 3,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away $30 gift card to my shop. Now, some of you had said with your project bags that you didn't spend your money on project bags because all your money is going to charts and threads and fabric and things like that. The things that you really need to stitch with, right? So I'm going to give you a chance to win a $30 gift card to the shop. So if you're interested in that, just say gift. Okay? Just say gift. Second, along the vein of giving away, you know, things that are going to be the necessities, right? I was like I've been saying, I've been digging through and cleaning out and that kind of thing, and I had purchased these 3 charts from a shop in San Antonio that's unfortunately now closed, Stitches from the Heart. I'd gone on a trip when my husband had an office down in San Antonio, and I purchased these. I saw the models in the shop and they were just absolutely adorable. But have I stitched them? No. I just don't think I'm going to. So there's love. There's faith. There's hope. And I thought, you know, it might be appropriate to give these away. And they're going to go as a set. So if you're interested in Faith, Hope, and Love by Erica Michaels, Needle Art Designs, what I want you to say is set of 3. Set of 3. So the first thing is gift. The second thing is set of 3. And the third thing is needle binder. Okay, so I'll draw for those 3 names next time, and good luck if you're interested in any of those. You can comment with all 3, that's fine, but you will only win 1, just so you know. So if your name pops up once, then you're out of the running for the next 2. Okay, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much. If you've hung in with me this long, it's a little over an hour. I had a lot to show you. Thank you again for taking me up over 3,000. We're, you know, probably gonna zoom on up to 4,000. I'm excited about that. I hope that the content that I'm bringing you is interesting to you. Maybe inspires you a little bit to, you know, to stitch on some different things that you haven't stitched on before. If you've got comments or suggestions, please feel free to leave those in the comments. I do read them all. Anyway, thank you so much. I am going to just do a 2-second thing on the shop, just a quick shop update. If you're not interested in that, then hopefully I'll see you next time around. And remember, create every day. Okay, so quick shop update. I mentioned Dinky Dye's silks. I'm just starting to add Dinky Dye's silks into the shop. I wanted to add silks, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to start with a line that's moderately priced. I have stitched with Dinky Dyes. I love the Dinky Dye silk. It is a 8 meters. It is 6 stranded, and they're priced at about $4.50. So they're in the middle, right, price wise. So if you're interested, I'm adding more and more. The ladies right now from Dinky Dyes are on vacation. So I just got the first batch in, and I'll have another batch with more colors, and I'm just continuing to add to the shop. So look for that if you're interested in some silks. The short cuts, the custom cuts, continue to be popular. I'll continue to add those to the shop. If you're interested, they're in the popular colors like Country Mocha, Platinum, Summer Khaki, you know, those types of colors. So, and I've got them in 32, 36, and 40 count. Some pieces, when you need like a sampler piece, for instance, like with my Come Into the Garden, I had to have a piece that was like a 22 by 22. You know, a fat quarter is 18 by 26. So you've almost got to jump up to a fat half, and then you got a whole chunk of fabric. So I've got custom cut sizes in the shop that continues to be very popular. So check those out. And don't forget, Needlework Expo is at the end of August. I've already got several people who have emailed me with their shopping lists, and I will be happy to shop for you too. I think that's it. I don't want to do too much with that. I'm just going to end with this lovely, because I absolutely love it. I'm just so excited to get this up on the wall where I can look at it every day. And thank you much. Take care, and I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. All right, bye-bye now.